something to bid for vSIM's creation because they don't have that. They're still dealing with the old simulator for 7G.
So the question that Dave Alexander had posed to me is the art of the possible is to be able to. We know that the regression lab is probably going to be if and when it comes about, it's going to be fully utilized. But a question that came up was, could our tooling be adapted such that they could leverage the tooling, or have a CTL certified lab that they would run physically, but a front end that they could either use our front end or we give them our front end and they use it and adapt it or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think the main concern is that the lab itself is pretty complex, right? Because there's a lot of intricate detailed components. We also, on top of that, we have some scalability on terms of the queuing, job queuing side. So if we build them, we end up having to manage two infrastructures.
Right.
Because for everything we change, they need to get an update. Just like the smoke team having three, with reception, it's going to be a bit different because smoke is a stamp.
Right.
Everything the same. CTL on the other side is not. It's an extension for the overall site lab.
Okay.
Because the whole idea is that we do not want to wrap in the bubble because we want to incorporate some testing across different labs. So the answer probably not in terms of sharing the tooling. Because I think it's going to be a nightmare to maintain them. You know, what if they run into some defect that we don't, and then how the lab being set up? Are we then becoming the lab build up?
Well, so that's the question is then do you do the other that says you put the regression lab in CTL?
Right, what we're going to do, just like the CST, we provide them with the framework facility for them to be familiar with, then they can incorporate, then they basically manage their own test runs there.
But you're physically putting the equipment of CST into CTL.
Yes.
So would you want to do that with a regression lab?
I think this preferred than building a CTL for them.
Then building a front end that they can use.
Yeah, I think this probably preferred to bring the resources into the CTL and make the CTL becoming the central launching of these tests. We could have the hardware here with the control of the software in single locations. It's possible.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yep. But it's not like a two launching place. I mean, two CTL independent running. It'll be a single place where we can target the executions of the tasks somewhere else.
Okay.
Because we did that, right? With the prototype, we got the same UI, same queuing management.
So we would still manage their.
Yeah.
Or they would. It's going to be some way that they can manage their updates.
Right. But here's the caveat though, is that why would they need to run it in NV?
They wouldn't.
Right. And then on top of that, then you will have a physical segregation because if the resources here is not being used, we have no way of launching the tests across if we don't have to build across. So I think there might be an opportunity to see it on the consolidating the lab firms, right? I mean the resources. Unless something prevents us from doing it, then we look into having a multiple physical side of it. They do have QoS though, because that patch is critical, right? We want to get it to the customer as soon as possible. We do not want to block them. We did talk about that, having a virtual spoke with Karthik. He's more interested in development side of it. Explain about the pain point of vSIMs. The next one he's concerned about the XAN. So why do we have XAN? Why can't we just use smoke? And why can't we use CTL? XAN is so unstable today, and
that's what they were exploring, getting rid of XAN.
Yeah, they said they got kicked out from the smoke because it's long running tests. Takes like 8 hours or more.
Okay, so they got.
And
so they shouldn't be in smokes, but they could use CTL.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I explained though. Yeah. So he wants to see what the possibility there. So I explained to him that right now we're focusing on QA. because of the capex opportunity. But certainly that's something we could put in our customer register to say here's the patch group, here's the waffle rate testing. Here's the NACO, here's BRE, here's XCDR, which one's the priority? We might need to
Love your
update.
answer.
Yeah.
I mean, these bugs coming right at my
I
face.
know, yeah. Sucks to be you.
I'm like, I better slow down. I better slow down.
There's a spreadsheet out there on the SharePoint that Paul and George and I have been working on for the FY12 CapEx. I have some estimate about just based on talking to people regarding what they need and
So
capability and things like that.
who do we talk to next week with Axel about? So Axel was asking me us about our process, and I said, well, what's your process, dude?
But
And so he was going to meet with me this week because he was here last week.
Okay.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to be there.
is what happened in the Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to ask Paul to
Paul's driving that.
Paul's driving it. He's going to capture more capacity planning from George just to validate. But what he has done in Excel spreadsheet, there's a bunch of tabs. Each of the tab explain the capability, such as Metro Cluster. This is the cost of one. 24 node mixed platform. This is the cost. 12 node peering IP space. These are the costs. CX3 V-Series. These are the costs. And we'll put them in a summary page about the quantity that we need. Here's are the 4 nodes that can be break out of the 24 node. And then we put the quantity in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Right now the number in there is my swag. Based on my understanding, talking with folks out there, what we might need. Come up about 23 million. Don't have heart attack. And
Is that all?
that's it. So Paul is going to get more data. Should I update more about? But
Pretty low.
I think it makes sense based on what we have.
Well, I
But
told him 5 million was too low, so he decided to, keep on achieving.
no,
I put 3 million in for a private
The-
plane for me.
the 5 million was just a capability, meaning if we only have one and one only,
Yeah.
it costs about 5 million.
What about the prototypes or the new platforms and that kind of stuff?
Some of those already included in there with Absolute Bamboo.
Do we have Absolute and Carnegie and Smokes? Do you guys know?
Yes.
Yes,
That's what I thought.
yes.
I couldn't remember. I'm pretty sure we do, but I
Yes, we do.
Yeah, there's about 4.
I don't have any information yet for the View or Bimota. Those are the new platform.
Yeah.
I have no clue what the cost, and I cannot even think about how to swag that. Right? But we know how to do it with Absolute Bamboo. We know that. We know what the Metro Cluster, $500,000. Lisa is gonna give us one, and then we're gonna build 2. Sometime in the FY12, maybe 1, depending on how crazy people reserve them. So I'll put 1 in half of the year. The second half will put the other one, just to see how things are going to do. 23 million.
That's so sad. Walking in the middle of that.
You're just bored taking a stroll.
Yeah, really.
Now the next thing I need to do, I need to scope out the FY12 resources, because with all those, we ain't gonna survive. Gary gonna be start swinging whip out there for the version 2.0 CTL.
And I
software
need
side.
to approve the.
Yes, I have 2 racks right now entered already. I'm going to be entering the 3rd one tonight for the dev. But
I'll tell you, it's a designated bottleneck job. That's my job. I'm not sure that I'm a facilitator of anything.
and the 4th one, if you right now is in the parentheses, whatever the bracket you put in is in the
Joe bracket.
Joe bracket.
Joe bracket.
If you can remove the bracket, it would be great. Gary has been telling me, we gotta get stuff done. We don't have it. Oh, I see dead people.
Yeah, I see dead people.
I see dead people, yeah.
And it's myself.
You moving into India, Gary? Become expat?
Sure.